Hey,
Hello,
Chad.
everyone. Hello, Todd.
How you doing?
Happy, happy Hanukkah night five.
It's a good night. So, everyone, welcome to the Hoppy Hanukkah Craft Beer Experience, hosted by City Brew Tours. My name is Todd Summers.
And I am Chad Brodsky, and we will be your Jewish drinking buddies now for the next 5 nights. It's
For
four
nights.
nights. I
It's night
got it.
five, the base zero. It's killing you.
Can't
It's
do it. I just
absolutely
can't do
killing you.
it.
Last year it was the AirPods. This year it's counting. Um,
I haven't once messed up tech on the tech side of things at all compared to last year. I'll have you
every
know.
night, every night.
Every night has been on point.
Well, let's open our beers. These are our night five beers. That's how counting works.
I am very excited for a red ale. I haven't had a red ale in a while. So as we grab this beer over the next 30-ish minutes, we'll be enjoying Ruby, an American red ale from Fat Bottom Brewing out of Nashville, Tennessee. They're been around since 2012, so they're a pretty established brewery within Nashville, one of the third production breweries in Nashville to operate. And Nashville knows their products. And we got awesome guests. We got Ben Bredenson, who's the founder, and then Alex Barr, director of operations, brewing operations, joining us tonight. So we've
Can I
got
just ask you to restate the sentence where you said Fat Bottom is one of the third breweries in Nashville, where I think you meant to say it was the third
no, I said the
brewery?
third oldest. You need to get your AirPods connected
Uh,
better.
I actually don't need to get them cleaned because I put them through the washer and dryer this week. So
I don't think that's
there.
how they're supposed to be cleaned. Look at this
So
color.
cheers, Chad.
Oh my gosh. I'm excited. And
And
then
Alex
look,
said that I was right. So
fair enough.
Um, so tonight and every night, we encourage you to drink the beer with us. If you've waited until now, it's the red ale tonight. And so before we go any further, our housekeeping, use the chat for any banter, tasting notes, question, comments. Um,
Hmm.
Q&A is great for questions. If you're watching on YouTube, which I think some people are, we'll only see anything you post here in Zoom. Um, and so, Chad, I was taking a trip down memory lane today. Do you remember what we did for night five last year?
I can't even remember what I had for breakfast today. So
You
I do
probably
not.
didn't eat breakfast.
I did eat breakfast. I had an avocado toast with eggs. It
Liar.
was,
Um,
oh, I guess I
remember?
did remember it. Damn it.
Got him where I wanted it. It was the Jewish grandmothers panel.
Oh, that was so fun.
Highlight of my career. What's your
I
favorite?
remember when we introduced them to an imperial stout. They hadn't had a dark beer like that before. I'll tell you that much.
It was my sister's mother-in-law was one of the bubbies we had on, and she talks about it. She had like her setup with the pictures. It was the cutest thing we've ever
It was
done.
great. I had to post on my Facebook. I haven't done that since. Does anyone have a Jewish grandma that would be willing to join a live stream or
And it worked.
podcast?
And it worked. What's your favorite bubbyism?
As a father, I spend a lot of time doing bubbyisms, and but most recently, I've been collecting ketchup packets. I
What does
actually
collecting
haven't.
ketchup packets mean?
Bubbies, they get things for free, and ketchup packets. My grandma used to collect straws. This was before we knew straws were not environmentally friendly. Ketchup packets
Salt and pepper
and salt and
shakers?
pepper, like the little salt and pepper, and then we would arrive to their home, like we'd go and visit them, and they'd want us to take these as if we had never seen the stuff, or it's absurd.
Let's all right. Yeah, before we get you like locked up for ketchup packet theft, um let's bring our guests on. Let's get the people who made the red ale. Who do we have, Chad?
Ben and Alex, are you here with us?
We
Oh,
are.
Yeah,
there's Ben and there's Alex.
Very much here.
we're
Hello,
only going to ask you
guys.
questions about things you've stolen for the next.
Say, I didn't realize how much, as a person of Irish descent, how much I have in common with the Jewish grandmother and ketchup packets. But I'm on board.
Love it.
So we start all of our interviews with what we call the Chad Five, which I will let Chad.
It's not five, but we won't. The first three questions are just boring, and I don't consider them questions. But your name, where you're from, and then your job title. Some of this is already in your screen for people at home, but still, we have to do it.
All right,
go.
we'll check all the boxes here. So my name is Ben Bredesen. I'm the founder of Fat Bottom Brewing. Back in 2012, opened it up. I'm from Nashville originally. I'm a native Nashvilleian, which makes me a unicorn. And yeah, and Alex too, for that matter.
Okay.
Alex,
Alex Barr, director of brewing operations, and unfortunately, same answer as Ben. Grew up in Middle Tennessee, so been the landscape forever.
Awesome. All right. That was the easy one. Next one. If you could drink with a person, dead or alive, or fictional in history, who would it be and why?
Hmm.
Come
All right,
on.
we got to wrap it here. All right.
You got to do. We could put some Jeopardy music.
All right,
From the gut.
Here's what I would say. Barack Obama, because I hear he likes beer, and I'll bet he's got some interesting stories.
It's a great picture, all-time great picture with him with the Guinness and that bar in DC.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think I would probably go Nick Offerman, that plays Ron Swanson in Parks and Rec. Yeah, like he'd be a good dude to have a beer with. Also like woodworking, so.
No.
Great.
There you
go. Last Hanukkah, my wife got me a woodworking class.
Very cool.
So I learned.
And you can see all of the things he's made as a result.
No, I made a cheese knife, if you are curious, and I actually made 2 cheese knives, and I was pretty proud of them. I haven't made anything since because I don't know how to find the wood. So you need green wood, and it's just I'm not going to into the woods to find the right kind of wood. So, and Amazon doesn't have green wood in their stores. All right, last one. If you could have one food for the rest of your life, what is it? Ben,
is this
go.
A meal or a single food item?
We'll give you a meal.
All right.
Yeah, you can have a meal.
Steak and mashed potatoes. All day, every day. I'd be very, very happy with that.
Love
and
it.
beer alongside it, of course.
They can go in Thai, like Penang curry. Yeah.
My man.
Love a good Thai dish.
Okay, so those are the easy ones. I'm going to crank it up a notch. And as our viewers know, I like to do a very marginal amount of research. So, Ben, I have this is a Ben trivia question for you.
Okay.
Do you know in what year you most recently tweeted about the beer Ruby?
Oh my God. I have a confession. I personally hate social media, so I could not even possibly answer that. I'm going to guess it's not this year since you're asking the question.
Yeah. I don't think that's not like a confession you need to like. I think that's a pretty common sentiment, but it was actually April 25th, 2012. Do you want to know exactly what you tweeted? It's tremendous.
I would be very curious to hear. Yes.
And the thing is that I think it's gonna still resonate. The worst thing about opening a brewery is that there's no time to make beer anymore. Finally brewing some Ruby and drinking a pale ale this afternoon.
Wow.
Probably pretty. Does that hits home a little bit?
That does hit home. Yeah. It's yeah, that is true. Did not get a lot of time to make beer until it was like critical to make beer and get the place open. And yeah.
I love it.
Cheers to learning that Ben had a Twitter.
Yeah.
I bet if you want to, I'm very good at deactivating Twitter accounts. So if you wanted to shoot me an email, I can help. All right, Alex. One thing I know about you, you went to Middle Tennessee State. Um, Terrific. I'm a mid-major guy. I live in Vermont, so UVM, 10,000 enrollment. So this is a sports question. So Chad, if you've already tuned out.
I'll just leave maybe.
All right, Alex, do you know how many NFL players that are currently active who went to Middle Tennessee State University?
Man, I know very little about sports. I'm gonna guess 24.
7.
7. Okay.
Yeah, and they're on like 3 teams. It's crazy. They're like stick together. But Middle Tennessee always makes some noise, so I was very excited to see it. All right, that's enough of my mediocre research.
Those questions were way harder, Todd, than
Yeah,
my Fast Five questions.
you did a deep dive on us if you pulled up my Twitter from 2012 and where Alex went to school.
The power of LinkedIn and Google. Sales guys, we'll dig down as far as we need to. So let's talk about Ruby. I am very on the record that I love a red ale because I like beers that I can drink a lot of, and red ales I feel like I could have over and over again. This one specifically. So when you started brewing Ruby, what was the red ale you were trying to brew? How did it become a regular in your rotation?
So I actually started making this as a home brewer,
Mhm.
and it was I did it because it was a challenge. Getting red color into a beer is difficult, and I wanted to see if I could do it. So took a lot of batches over a lot of years to start dialing it in, and it was a day one beer for the brewery. It was one of the first 4 beers on the wall. So
What
Amazing.
makes getting the red color difficult as a home brewer?
well, I think in Alex,
That you want, like you obviously wanted this. This is a beautiful like ruby color if
yeah,
I've ever
I love the
seen.
color of this
So
beer.
Mhm.
You kind of go from gold to like brown really quickly. It's hard to get that reddish copper color and just hit that perfect balance point. This beer has a pretty complex grain bill. There's something like 7 or 8 different malts that are in there just to get that color and get the flavors we want in there.
Amazing. And so for the people at home, that you call this an American red ale. You probably my guess is, and I this is something I didn't do research on. I would guess you probably see an even split of Irish to American red ales on the market, maybe leaning slightly more towards Irish. What's the distinction?
Well, hops would be the big distinction, and it's we've got probably more hops than you would expect in this beer. You got to balance it out. It's got some sweetness and that toast and caramel. I do find personally Irish reds are just a lot sweeter than how this beer presents.
the hops are like very mellow though. It's like you really get those sweet that malty roasted sweetness.
Yeah,
Alex, as an Irish person,
Yeah.
how does this
Yeah.
live up for an Irish red compared to your Irish Reds?
As an Irish person, my heritage that grew up in Middle Tennessee, I can I do like Ruby. I like that it's very clean bitterness. This is not a recipe that I have touched. It's been relatively the same since Ben created it. He's right. It's got it's a lot more specialty malts. It's than most of our beers. There's 6 different malts in it, and it's a little bit more work on the person brewing it because they're throwing a lot more individual bags and weighing more things out. But it's I think the bitterness is clean. It's balanced with you do get a little bit of the sweet malt, and you get a little bit of the a little bit of roast, but it's just sort of rides the line. It's not heavily roasty. It's not heavily sweet. It's not heavily bitter. It just sort of is a nice balancing act.
Ben, when you were trying to brew this for the first time on like a commercial level, did it work? Did it go from homebrew? This came out really great as a homebrew, and now I have my now commercial system. How many times did it take to kind of get it to where you were
It's
when it was on the homebrew side versus the commercial level?
Not too many batches. I think probably the biggest thing that we changed early on is just the amount of yeast we were using. When we first opened up, we were under pitching, and just getting more yeast, healthier yeast in the beer is what really dialed in the flavor.
And you said this is a flagship. So what percentage of your sales is coming from Ruby?
So Ruby is currently our number 4 beer in the lineup. So percentage wise, it's probably 15%.
What's number one?
Number one's our IPA knockout, and then we've got a blonde ale Sandy and a Pilsner that are in the top 3.
That tracks. That I think is that I would say the Red Ale 4 is something we haven't heard a ton of on this Talking to Brewers. IPA 1 and then a Pilsner 2 or 3 feels right. So I think it probably speaks a lot to the quality of of Ruby.
You really don't see red ales in the top flagship. Like when you think red ales, you just think of kind of like Killian's Red for people. It's just like, what other red ales are like out there that are so mainstream? There really aren't.
On the market. I think that's why it's popular. It's just it is different. It's not a style you see too often, and it's good.
And it's crushable. Like this is an easy drinking beer. What's the ABV on it?
I just want to look.
I don't see it.
Going through a label revision where it's actually going to go on there, but it's 5.2.
5.2. That's approved by my childish ability to drink beer. So okay, I love hearing stories about how people work together. So a little more research. I guess I had a little extra time tonight. Alex, it looks like working at Fat Bottom has been your entire professional career from college. And so, Ben, did you hire Alex?
So I actually met Alex before I opened the brewery. I did hire him, but it was not day one. It was pretty soon thereafter, though.
Mm-hmm.
Alex is kind of being modest because he was a photographer for a little while and traveled with a band and did all that.
Very, very early on, I did like probably 2013. Did like some like principal photography stuff for Fat Bottom and like some things for the tap room and for posters and promo stuff. And then ended up working in the tap room and then weaseled my way into the brewery and things snowballed. Things escalated a little bit.
Yeah.
So director of brewing operations, what's a day for you?
Sheesh. A lot of wrangling cats. Sometimes in the form of humans and interfacing with sales and marketing and making sure everything's going well. Dealing with vendors, dealing with a lot of relationships. Making sure the brewery things are going well, the schedule is happening.
I'm going to ask you I'm going to take a question out of Chad's brain and ask it from my mouth. What are your, like, when you've done a good job, how will Ben know? Like, what's your KPI? It's my official question that Chad would ask you.
Man, I think if nothing's on fire and everything's on schedule,
we could aim a little higher than that.
That's the wet foot brewer
answer. And Ben's planning his next meeting right now. Is like, Alex, we need to talk KPIs.
No, I think
we need a little more management here.
Well, I would say having distributors be fully stocked, having just making sure that we're sort of not making the right amount of beer, not overproducing, not underproducing, just sort of finding the balance in when it comes to seasonals. And we're kind of undergoing. We just finished our first full year of revitalizing all of our seasonals and changing our seasonal schedule. So we've sort of landed the plane now on seasonals all one time. And now we've done it twice with our fall and our Christmas. And we've gotten, it's really, I think, a kind of impressive amount of just running out of beer right at the right time, so we're not sitting on a lot in.
That's
Right
great.
times and right amount, so we're not sitting on a lot at the end of the season.
Where are you seeing most of the sales happening? Is it coming from tap room sales, distribution, package?
It's tap room and it's grocery stores. Certainly it's out in bars and that kind of thing too, but groceries where the volume is.
That's been pretty. I mean, that's doubled the volume of our seasonals year over year fast. So if you get
That's great.
in the right spot, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, eye level. Just get that eye level placement. So you rub the grocer's shoulders a little bit, grease their
You got it.
palms.
It's all about like shelf space, isn't that one of the things? So you got to do a 12 pack of Ruby in 12-ounce cans. You got to do 4 packs in 16-ounce, 3 25-ounce cans. Growlers. So you're just getting it all there.
Any plans of doing 30 racks of any of your beer? This came up yesterday, so I figured
it did come up yesterday as a callback.
30s we have not planned.
I think there's a market.
You don't say.
That would be a very expensive 30 rack.
Not impossible, but that one has not come up for us specifically.
It's not in your 2024 goals. Well, that leads a great segue. What's on the docket for 2024?
We got some new products coming out in the spring. We're shifting all of our packaging. Alex mentioned that, so we're doing some redesigns on all the labels. Everything right now is 16-ounce cans. We're going to go to 12s for most products. We've got a double IPA coming out. We've got a new hazy IPA coming out, and we're going to add 19.2s into the mix.
Do you mind me asking, what's the 16 to 12 plan? I feel like that's typically opposite of where the industry has been going. Maybe it's shifting. Do you think that's happening? There's a shift that people are going more towards 12-ounce versus the 16. Yeah. What's the idea around that?
Yeah, it's a shift in the industry, or shift in what we see consumers buying. There is just a volume component to it. And we're kind of offsetting that by removing the 16s. We're offsetting that by going into 19.2s for certain products. So think, single serves and venue. Yeah, the big can.
That's a big beer.
So it's.
I love a 19.2.
Do you buy 19.2, Todds? What are you getting a 19.2 of in Vermont?
So during COVID, Fiddlehead, who had never put beer in cans for distribution, which now they make like over 100,000 beer. They're like one of the biggest independently owned breweries in the country. They canned all of these 19.2s to sell to arenas, and then COVID happened. Like it was like the early March was their first run of these 19.2s, and everyone canceled their orders because of COVID. So they had a warehouse full of them, and they sold them out of the breweries to people out of the brewery to people in Vermont, and they sold out of them. And
that's amazing.
Hilarious.
They continued that post COVID. They still doing 19.2s for.
I don't think so. There are a lot of 19.2s of craft beer in Vermont because there's like the single serve, as Ben mentioned, is pretty common. Like grocery stores, you can mix and match. So I think those do well. But yeah, it was so interesting because at the time it was like, oh my God, I can get Fiddlehead in a can. It was great.
19.2, I think I haven't seen as many, but I think that's like Ben was saying, like that's becoming more popular than 19. Use, and then so we're gonna probably start to see 16-ounce cans like disappearing. We're gonna need a bigger box. Not gonna be able to fit. We'll have to get a taller Hanukkah box next year.
An interesting point. My guess is 16 ounces will be around, but I actually think it's gonna go. I think 12s are gonna be the next thing because health conscious.
Cost will be less. Mm-hmm. Yeah, cost of a 4-pack.
Yeah.
Keeps going up.
I know it's kind of expensive. So
is that one of the reasons too to keep prices more reasonable?
Yeah,
by going down to 12s.
Cost and pricing component to it as well. Because you're talking about in a case is 2.25 gallons, just 3 gallons of beer, and the can body is cheaper and all that. So you can drive down some of that shelf price by doing that as well.
Hear that?
That makes
Hear
a lot of
that,
sense.
audience? They're trying to make beer cheaper for everyone to consume.
It
Yeah.
is a
Doing God's work.
Um, I have a question. What is Singo?
Singo is basically musical bingo. So it's something we do in our tap room. And you play a little snippet of a song, and you've got a bingo card, but instead of letters and numbers, it's songs and artists. And so you got to recognize the song, find it on your card, and mark it off. And then, of course, when you get a singo straight line, then you call it out and you win.
Do you have to sing when you yell
Great question.
Singo, like a song? The
No,
last song? You
you
should have
don't
great.
have to. I mean, we're in Nashville, so people are very competent at singing, but you don't have to sing.
They get their guitar out as they win and start like playing a full on single.
Yeah, I mean, it's always an audition, right? You gotta you never know who's
Yeah.
gonna win.
you never know who's in the audience anywhere ever.
Do you have a lot of live music at
Yeah, so
the brewery?
we've got a bar downtown, right in the middle of Broadway, and that has live music all the time. And then we occasionally do live music out at the brewery and the
What's
tap
the
room.
bar? What's that bar called?
So that's called Teddy's Tavern, named after our Pilsner, Teddy Loves. And it's basically an old historic building came up, and I couldn't say no. And so we have a bar honky tonk situation down on Broadway, right outside the hockey arena.
And is all the beer served there your guys' beer, or do you have other breweries' beer at that
So
location? Is that considered a tap room or just like a bar that you
it's
guys
somewhere in
have?
between. So all the beers on tap are our beer. We do have a couple other products in cans, but yeah, it's really an outlet for promoting the brand and getting cans in hands and getting people to taste the beer.
Cans and hands. I like that. And at City Brew Tours, the metric we like to use is called butts and seats, because of the van. So you mentioned Broad Street, and obviously Nashville is quite the market. I imagine you have competition from just about every activity known to humankind. So what do you talk about internally about how you can be competitive, and what do you do to sort of run a successful business? Because I don't think I could.
Oh, it is difficult for sure. A lot of competition. Nashville is also one of those markets that a lot of breweries and liquor brands and so on want to be in. So there's always new products coming in the market, and we have to compete against. But it's fundamentally you kind of go back to what we are, what we started as, right? I mean, we think of Fat Bottom as local, obviously. I mean, we are a local brewery. And then also we like to think of it as sort of everyman beer. It's the beer next door. It's like you were talking about, Ruby. It's very approachable, very balanced, very easy drinking. We don't do like milkshake IPAs or milkshake sours or whatever. It's just we like to have beers that are balanced and approachable, and and beers that everyone will enjoy, whether or not they're a big craft drinker.
Like gateway beers to get people into that might not be as familiar with craft beer.
Yeah,
Because if you haven't drank craft beer and you see a milkshake IPA, the chances are you're not going to go for that. But if you see a red ale, that seems a much more approachable from
exactly.
the
Yeah.
perspective.
I think
Yeah.
it's still very much a craft beer brand, but it's an
Mhm.
accessible, approachable craft beer brand. So it's not gonna, there's definitely something for everybody. Even if they may not know it. I think our blonde ale is a great example. It has a lot of character, and it reads as craft, but also I could give it to some in-laws that may, call it weird beer. No, they're like, oh, you make weird beer, right? It's not
we
they would still drink it in a cup and be like, oh, okay, like this is good.
we can
So
give it to the bubbies and they would be like, "Oh, this is like what I had back in." I don't know why they put a southern twang on these bubbies, but
Because they're from Nashville. These are
exactly, these are Nashville
Nashville
bubbies.
bubbies. Yeah. Um, real interesting to me because I feel like a lot of breweries from your when like around the time that you started are still around and still have that kind of core, like nothing lactose bomb, like you know beers that people can approach and have more than one of, which I would imagine in Nashville, that as we talked before, drinking town. It's like people are gonna want it. How I'd be remiss if I didn't ask a little about the brand. Do you and so my big question is how many times do people make Queen references to you? Are you asked on a daily basis if your brewery is making the rock and world go round, or how does this happen?
Probably not a lot of people make that connection. That is a piece of the name, but I get a lot of questions, where the name come from and all that, and they don't necessarily make that connection. So, but yeah, it is a Queen reference, and then also in the neighborhood I live in, there's a big park called Shelby Bottoms right along the river. And I wanted to give that a little shout out, place that I get to go walk every weekend and hang out with the dogs, all that. So yeah.
All right, there you have it. You heard it from the man himself. I think couple last questions. So we asked about 2024. We're almost at the new year. Things in 2023 you did that you're proud of. What should we applaud you for?
I would say for me, it's not necessarily beer, but it's beer adjacent. We last year I developed a hop water, and this year it went into cans. So that's kind of starting to hit shelves now in Nashville. So it kind of gives. I selfishly did it for me first and foremost because I wanted to drink it at my desk, which I do 32 ounces at a time.
Alex walks around the whole day with a deli container full of hot water.
Yeah, I've never been more hydrated. But it's nice to. I'm happy to have something out in the market that. At least I know a lot of people that are sober or situationally sober, and it kind of gives everybody an opportunity to be involved in a part of the ritual without necessarily being tempted by alcohol or feeling they have to drink alcohol. So that's what I'm most excited about right now.
How is that? So you launched like a hop water. Is it sparkling, carbonated, or still?
Yes, it is carbonated. So I describe it to people as it's like the Venn diagram where beer and LaCroix cross over.
Love that. So what kind of hops are you putting in the hop water?
Mainly Citra. So it's very familiar. Like if you like sort of a hop forward beer, and everybody loves Citra at least a little bit, even if they don't admit it. And yeah, so it's got the familiar and the fragrant.
That's
I
the
love to
best
see
Venn
it.
diagram I've ever heard.
LaCroix and a beer
Yeah.
are the cross section of that.
Please, we'll have to get your address. I'll ship you some in the mail. I can do, and that's the other thing. There's no red tape with
Oh, I would love, yeah, you can. So we
No,
have
no, no, Chad, he offered it to me. None for you. I'll tell
I'm
you how
having
it is.
so we have a tour in Cape Cod, and one of the breweries is making a hop water, carbonated hop water as well. And they had to get the licensing to become a bottling plant in Massachusetts. So they couldn't just start making hop water. They had to first become a water, whatever the water bottling license is in Massachusetts, which is ridiculously hard. So does Tennessee have anything
Uh,
like that where you're now a water bottling plant?
so
so
we
it's
had to
not a bottling plant in Tennessee, but there was quite a lot of work Alex had to do to, yeah, talk about the process authority stuff.
exactly, yeah. So I had to basically it's treated a little bit different from a regulation standpoint. So I had to do basically some food safety courses, and things were a little a little more red tape on that side, but it's done now. So
And what's that brand called?
it's Fat Bottom Hop Fizz.
Hop Fizz. Love
Now
that.
you
I
just
think
have to spend the
that's coming. That's a fast growing trend. What we're seeing to be able to combat the sober and the non-alcoholic trends that you're seeing in craft beer. So I love to see that you guys are on the cutting edge of that.
Yeah.
and now all you have to do is look over your shoulder from the people at Nestle for the rest of your days.
Yeah.
I don't like people
Nestle's
swimming in their pond. If anyone works at Nestle, that was just a joke. Anything else you're proud of this year? And then we're gonna throw a question to Chad, and then that'll probably be our night.
think so.
Well, I'm proud of Alex and his guys because this year they more than doubled the output of the brewery compared to last year. They were given a very heavy task and they performed admirably.
That's great. Congratulations, Alex.
Good job, Alex.
I'm proud of you too, Alex.
No, we do have a very solid team, like it is, and it's very much a team. Everybody pulls their weight, and even on days that people can't, the people next to them in the trenches will pick them up. It is the most solid brewery team I've seen, and probably ever. So,
what's just for people, because we have people all over the country, they're watching this via Zoom or on YouTube. Where can people find Fat Bottoms products? What's that distribution radius?
So only in the Southeast, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina, a little bit of northern Mississippi. And that's
all
it.
Right, yeah. All right, you got to go to the Southeast in order to get more of this beer or buy another Hanukkah box.
All right, and so quick, anything you'd like to plug? Tell the people that they should buy from you.
I mean, all the beer, obviously.
All of their beer. Okay, great.
No, Nashville is a fun town to visit, so come visit and come see the brewery.
Yeah, we've got a lot of very, very, very neat things at the brewery for sure. It's definitely worth
Singo.
Like Singo.
Hop water.
Can you get Hop Fizz on your website yet?
Not yet. No, we're just starting to roll it out. So, but we'll still hook you up. Don't worry.
Distributor got the first cases like last Wednesday, so it is very, very hot off the press. Cold off the press.
No, hot off. Yeah. Well, I guess both. All right. So, Chad, this is a question from Michael, and then we'll pause until night 6. What kind of critical mass does City Brew Tours look for to decide which cities to set up tours in, or is it a personnel question?
So I would say it's the number of breweries in a given area. We look for, so we have, how we do our tours is, our expansion is through franchising. So we look for the passion for craft beer. So if you are thinking about wanting to start a City Brew Tours franchise, we are looking for people that love craft beer and want to get into the industry. And then we're also looking for a place that has at least 6 breweries. So you have the ability to tour multiple breweries of different sizes. So if you're curious to learn more about City Brew Tours, go to citybrewtours.com/franchising.
Now that is a plug.
That is a plug.
Last I checked, we only had one location in Tennessee, so, and it's not Nashville.
Yeah, we got Memphis. And Memphis just launched. Todd actually launched Memphis. Not him. Todd helped Brian, our franchisee, who's awesome, launch Memphis.
Memphis, I've been there once previously. It has a couple of my favorite things that I will also mention. Bass Pro Shop Pyramid. Best place on planet Earth. Memphis style barbecue. Not my favorite style barbecue, but there's no such thing as bad barbecue. And the beer is very, very good. Like, very good. So you should check it out.
Well, Ben, Alex, thank you guys so much for making Ruby as well as joining us tonight for Hoppy Hanukkah Night 5.
Thank you.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
That's a wrap. So, Todd, I'll see you tomorrow, 8:30 Eastern.